Woo! That guitar come in strong. Hey, everybody, welcome to Path of the Brush. I'm your host, Rick, and we are live at the Hoplite Games in Lansing, Michigan, where we've been painting live for quite a few episodes. We are going to continue our path with the characters from Marvel United, a game by CMON Games, which features a bunch of cool Marvel characters. And we'll be joined today by our back-end producers, Mark and Will. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Sweet.
What up?
Look at that Hulk, man.
Hulkster.
So good. Super cool.
Hulkamania.
Right, yeah. Hulkamania is it, right? Or at least it was in the 80s.
Yeah.
So we're going to be painting our Marvel characters today. I'm going to continue with some Red Skull, Hulk, a little bit of Ultron here. And then I'm also going to be working on Captain Marvel and some other characters as well. So we are going to be using the Warpaints Fanatics. I'll be using Pure Red to start off with today. If you have any questions, you can always ask us in the chat about painting or about, other interesting things such as, favorite line from a movie or scene from a movie. And let's kind of keep it around the Marvel universe. It doesn't have to be the current Marvel universe. We can go way back to some of the older, stuff like the original Blade series or what was another good one?
I think it peaked with the Hostess fruit pie ads.
Oh,
that was
yeah.
peak Marvel.
That was peak Marvel right there. In the comic books?
Yeah, those ads are great.
What's your favorite fruit pie?
That's a good question.
Dang.
Because I love fruit pies. There's no doubt.
They're so terrible for you too. It's like
I love them. The worst.
I do love them too. But there's one that I gravitate towards. Apple. Oh, the old American pie.
Yeah. Mine is lemon.
Oh, okay. I'm a blueberry.
I picked the wrong pie.
Well, what about you, Mark?
Blueberry.
Oh my God, you like dirt fruit?
Dirt. Yeah, they don't make snozberries anymore.
But the snozberries always taste. Yeah, here it is. Oh, that's great. So yeah, for everybody out there watching, comment. Let us know what is your favorite fruit pie, but in the form of like the old Hostess fruit pies.
They still make them. I see them on like in your leaving the convenience store.
Yeah, but there's other brands now that are kind of like the primaries. Yeah, but they seem to take up more shelf space these days, right? And
what about Little Debbie's?
I don't really eat Little Debbie. I'm not a. If there is a fruit pie there, I'm grabbing that. No cake, no Twinkies,
no snowballs, no Hostess.
Yeah, no ding dongs. I
do know.
It's not just peak Marvel; it's peak Hostess as well.
Right. What was the other ones? Just the cupcakes. I'm not a.
Oh yeah, those are kind of lame actually.
Yeah, I don't really gravitate towards those. If there's a fruit pie there, especially if there's lemon, my secondary is chocolate. The chocolate filled pies. Oh man, those are so good. Especially if you put them in the refrigerator and let them get cold.
All right.
It's
kind of like the Girl Scout cookies. You put there's like certain ones you put in the freezer. The thin mint.
Absolutely. Thin mint.
Became a snack show. What's going on? It's past dinner time. I don't know.
Well, I haven't eaten dinner yet.
Okay. Oh, no. It's like you go into the.
I was really hoping that I was going to get some food tonight, but nobody swung by and asked me if I want anything to eat, and so I'm really suffering right now. I mean, look at me. I'm practically wasting away.
Not me.
I love it.
So what
you
did you
love
guys
that he's wasting? That's messed up, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what happened was I almost ran Mark over recently, and when I walked past him, I kind of gave the cold shoulder, and then he grabbed me by the arm, spun me around, and he goes, "Thinner."
Is this a movie? Is that from the movie Thinner?
Yeah.
Was that a? I did not do that. That's not true. Is it a Stephen King book? Was that a Stephen King book?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Who acted in that? Is that the guy? That's not the guy from.
That's always the question, isn't it? When you're talking about Stephen King movies.
Right. That's not the guy from the Jurassic Park one, was it?
I don't recall who the
No,
actor
that was where
was.
he wrote a book. He wrote a book that came through. We'll have to look it up. Sorry, viewers, we don't know that one off the cuff. But
What
speaking
movie?
of movies,
Thinner.
Thinner.
Yeah, it's where the Romani woman curses him, but it's really she's Romani, but she curses him because she has the Shining, right? Because that's like the overarching thing within the Stephen King universe is the Shining is a power base, right? At least that's what I'm kind of understanding. If anybody in the chat or watching has a different understanding of that, please let us know. But that's what I understand how it works.
Yeah, he does have like a Stephen King-averse. It's all supposed to be happening in the same world.
Yeah.
All right, I found who am I looking for in the movie? Is there
The
a
main actor?
Yeah, the guy getting
Robert John Burke.
Robert John Burke.
Nobody, you're saying.
He was known as his most popular film that he was in was RoboCop 3, and he was known as Robert Burke. So
and we were down this RoboCop last episode, right?
Yeah. Don't go there, guys. Don't past 2. It just gets worse. And then it starts to hurt.
Agreed. Yeah, he hit me with a thinner, and so I'm just kind of hungry right now, you know. So talking about snacks makes sense.
Speaking of movies, are there any movies that you think are super quotable?
All of them.
I know we said keep it to the Marvel Universe, but
we don't have to. But there's so many good ones in the Marvel Universe, right?
Oh, yeah, that's a good rabbit hole. I find myself throughout the course of my life, I have probably quoted Aliens more than any other movie.
And this past Friday was Alien Day.
Yeah, 426.
Yeah,
it is on the rotation of movies we like to talk about.
Yeah, for sure.
Good fun fact: it's called LV-426 because it's a life viable planet.
Ooh.
Oh, okay, I like that.
That is cool.
My Wayland Yutani lore for you guys.
Oof.
Going deep.
Throwing it all out there. That's awesome. It's kind of funny is this past weekend I was at another convention.
No,
Yeah. Called C2E2, Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo, where we run the paint and take there. And it was, like you said, Friday was Alien Day, and right like as you were looking out of our booth to the left, and then on the next row was somebody that had like these life-sized models or statues of different alien creatures. So they had the alien hive mother, right, which was or brood queen or whatever you want to call her. She was huge, like probably 16 feet tall. It was amazing. And then they had a couple other alien creatures there, and a lot of people obviously are there taking pictures and all that stuff. And Free League, which is a game publisher who makes the Aliens role-playing game, was also there. So I got to hang out with my buddy Doug and Michelle, who was manning the booth there. So it was super cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
And before the show, I mentioned I saw that Gigi Edgley. We also talked about Farscape last episode, and Gigi Edgley, who played Chiana in Farscape, was there as well.
Mm-hmm. If
Did
anybody
you get a chance to see her?
No. I was near. I was near, but not that close to the autograph area for the celebrities. And I'm not really a celebrity chaser kind of guy. If they want to chase me, cool, but I'm not chasing them.
Fair.
Unless it's Dina Meyer. Hi, Dina.
You gotta have your. Go ahead.
I was gonna say because she's gonna watch this episode.
Is Dina Meyer? Was she Dizzy from Starship Troopers?
She was.
Okay. Yeah.
That's my one and only celebrity crush.
Gotta have your heroes, right?
Yep. And so but overall the show was great. We had a good time. We had some great help there, not just there, but also back here at the store. Brian was who works here at the store, was very instrumental in maintaining the peace here while we were gone. And but the young ladies that came and worked the booth that are patrons of the store were just phenomenal. So shout out to Tessa, Jenna, and Alana.
Had they worked a con with you before?
Nope, this is the first time ever doing it.
Had they ever been to C2E2?
I think, yeah, Tess had been once. Alana had been once, I think, when she was younger. But no, Jenna had never been to a con at all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was also kind of fun. What was really funny is, so you know how the universe is so small, right? If you really think about it, it might seem vast, and they talk about the vastness of the universe. So Tessa, who came to work at the booth and helped out, who's here in Lansing, Michigan, her uncle is the events coordinator for ReedPop, which is the company that runs that convention. And he was there, and I've known him probably for almost 10 years now. And to find out that that's her uncle was hilarious.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Those completely random connections. They happen all over the place.
Yep. But speaking of conventions, who's hyped for Gen Con this year? I heard it's gonna be crazy good.
50th D&D. What are some of the other things you heard about popping out?
Just some of the like main stage events that they're looking at putting on. So it sounds like there's going to be a live event, like live play event that's going to have this is again, I think the finales to so some of these streams are already going on, and the finales of the live streams are going to occur at Gen Con. At least that's what I'm getting based on the conversations I've had. So like, if you're not watching them, you need to, so you're like up to date on what's going on. But I think one of them will have like Ed Greenwood, who created the Forgotten Realms, in it. So, but again, that's just me through the grapevine and some speculation. So I think, we'll see what happens. It'll be pretty neat.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, again, anybody watching, if you've heard anything, let us know, what you've heard, and hopefully it'll be super cool stuff. I'm looking here at the Iron Man card I have next to me to make sure I'm getting enough of the spots that are supposed to be red. There we go.
All right. And I haven't been to Gen Con, so I don't know what kind of stuff to expect there.
It's amazing. So expect all the things that are amazing.
All right.
Like right when you walk in, they had a whole with a house of cards, but like of magic cards, and so for a fundraiser at the end, right? Then they
it's called Card Hala. It's called Card Hala.
Card Hala, and it's just like takes up, I don't know, what would you say, like 40 feet wide by 40 by 20 almost?
Yeah, something like that. That's about right. 40 foot wide by 20 foot deep. And then they take all these like old, like magic, all the like old CCGs that are like dead product, and some like even some magic cards. And they build these giant card houses, like you're saying, House of Cards and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's super cool. And then on Saturday, everybody shows up, and someone kind of bids in order to be able to throw the first coin at the card houses. And then after that, they basically say, all right, free for all. And everybody just throws their loose change down there, and all the change is collected for charity.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
And that's just one thing they got going on there. But I mean, Vendor Row is the biggest. I mean, how many booths is it?
Over 600, I think. Yeah, as far as like the exhibitors.
Yeah, all the
in the
different
vendor hall.
examples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easily over 600.
Definitely the most board games in one space that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as vendors, I mean,
Mhm.
and they actually had good deals there as well, which I was, sometimes you go to the cons and things are MSRP or it's like, it's jacked up, but they have like special
Mhm.
deals, in con sales or deals. A lot of Kickstarter stuff that you could only get on Kickstarter. Sometimes they'll be there.
Yep, for sure. So it's super fun, and then they have like obviously there's painting classes and painting competitions, and I believe they have a paint and take there as well. I know where they do it's up on a mezzanine level, out like near registration. So if you're looking at registration and you go to your right, there's a escalator and some stairs that go up to a mezzanine, and in that area up there is where they do all the painting, which is really cool. I need to figure out how we should be incorporating ourselves with that because it seems like a missed opportunity, right? we are
Yeah.
we are the paint show here, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Make a little appearance, something like that.
maybe, yeah, definitely need to be advertising and marketing our presence at the con to get people watching the show.
Is that similar to the public painting space in Adepticon?
Not really. They don't really have something like Fort Wapple.
I was trying to remember the name. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I remember it because I was literally talking about it like 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago with somebody before coming on.
Wapple.
Yep, Wapple.
Other cool stuff. I mean, obviously the Lucas Oil Stadium. They've got the game library just on the field, right? So
It is, yeah.
you can go and some people just go there and meet new people and play games with them.
hmm There's just so much that's going on, and there's so many things that are being announced. I think if people are on, you know, the different socials for Gen Con, they're going to start seeing all these announcements landing pretty soon, which is really exciting. So, and of course, should probably plug it now. If you haven't yet, if you follow the channel, hit that heart, hit that bell, and give it a follow, because on Fridays, the programming on Fridays is the table takes and presented by Gen Con, and that's like the weekly news, right? So they talk about all the things going on in the tabletop arena, industry news, and Gen Con news. So it's definitely worth watching that because the content creators that are part of that are amazing. You got Bonsai Baby, Avian Smith, the Noir Enigma, and of course Peter Atkinson is there. So it's worth having that bell and heart hit, and if you can, hit that subscription right there.
The Noir Enigma. That's a great name.
Mm-hmm. It is amazing. All right.
Are there any film noir like the actual genre film noir films that stick out as a favorite? You guys ever get into those?
No, I've not really been a fan of that stuff. I would say my favorite film noir would be Sin City.
Definitely counts.
Yeah.
A modern noir. Isn't did we talk about this before? Casablanca is would be in that vein.
I think so. Yeah.
It's
I do feel like it got
darn
definitely
close, but that's like Bogey. Bogey just kind of carried the film noir with him, right?
Yeah.
Maltese Falcon for sure. That's definitive.
So has there been a Marvel film noir kind of show? Would you
That
say
was always
that
kind of like Daredevil was supposed to be close. I think Jennifer Jones was as close as they ever got.
Jessica Jones?
Jessica Jones, yes.
Yeah. What about Oh, what was the one? Not Moon Knight. The
Echo.
no, Werewolf by Night. That kind of had a film noir vibe to it in the black and white.
Oh yeah.
It did. It was more of
version.
like a classic horror movie though, like
It
old
was.
Dracula, old werewolf.
But it did those lighting effects, right, where they would like shadow out areas by using like blinders around and give you that starker, brighter contrast over certain pieces. Like, you know,
Oh,
I don't know
I
if
love that
I don't know
effect.
I don't know if I'm doing the eyes right, but you know,
Yeah, it comes up like that.
yeah, the cuts of dark, dark and light.
Yeah, everybody has like perfectly placed blinders up on their windows
Right.
for that dramatic moment. I'm like, "Hmm?"
I try to get my blinders like that so that when the neighbors are driving by, I could be standing in the window just watching them with a very film noir vibe, right? Or I mean, or creepy neighbor vibe. I don't know.
Oh yeah, people love that.
Yeah,
No, thank goodness I have a creepy neighbor. Now I know what to expect.
right. Seen him dressed up like Santa Claus once.
And you know how that song starts? You better watch out.
That's right. Well, it's funny because being called tabletop Santa for so long, it's just expected, I guess.
When did that start?
It started in 2020 when I got on TikTok, and I was sending like care packages to a bunch of the D&D content, like the new D&D content creators, because a lot of them were talking about Dungeons and Dragons, and come to find out they didn't have any source books or anything or dice, and it's like, how can you be talking about this game and you don't even have the books to read or, you know? So I was sending these care packages, and the one of them was like, "You're like tabletop Santa," and everybody was like, "You should call yourself tabletop Santa." And so I did for a while, but then I realized I would only get traction right after Thanksgiving.
That's funny. Sad but true.
Sad but true.
You get a little bit of a bump when you do Christmas in July.
Correct. A little bump there. Yeah,
Just a smidge.
for sure. But yeah, it was super fun. And talking about the film noir stuff. Was there ever a Muppet film noir show? I feel like there was a
Kermie in a trench coat, you know.
no. I feel like there was a adult, like PG-13 or R rated, like puppet thing that Jim Henson's son did, and it was like something to do with crime. It had Melissa McCarthy in it.
Oh yeah, Toontown or Muppet
Some It
or
was
something.
something like Murder in Candyland or something like that. I don't
Murder
know.
in Muppetville. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That was Jim
That's
Henson's son.
I think it was Jim Henson's son that kind of like put that all together.
I'm looking up Melissa McCarthy and going from there.
Okay.
The Happy Time Murders?
Happy
That's
Time
it.
Murders. That's it. It's funny because like they eat like maple syrup and stuff.
Like they're drinking, right?
Well, it's like a drug to the Muppets. Is like high fructose or high sugared things.
And it was directed by Brian Henson.
Yeah, there you go.
The more you know.
Boom. Yeah. And if anybody wants to just kind of waste an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours of their life, give it a look.
That's not the most glowing praise.
No. There's some stuff in there that you're just gonna be like, this is ridiculous. Nobody should be watching this. But then, like a train wreck or a car accident, you slow down, you drive by, take a look, see if you see anything, and then you're
Am I
like,
really seeing this?
and then you're on your way again. Life continues. Yeah, the Happy Time Murders. I think it's worth a peek.
There was a couple of cyberpunk style film noir because that's such a crossover, cyberpunk and film
Mhm.
noir, like
Mhm.
Absolutely.
peanut butter and jelly.
Mhm.
One of them was on Netflix. Carbon, Altered Carbon.
Oh yeah, that was
The
a
first season
great.
of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
first
first
season was
season was
good.
great.
Yeah. And
think the whole
The
Blade Runner
Expanse pulled me in because it started off as a film noir cyberpunk thing, and then it kind of grew from there.
Okay. Blade Runner, I would say, is kind of a film noir sci-fi.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
Hmm.
The remake. It wasn't a remake, like a continuation.
Right.
That was pretty good too.
I agree. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun. I was a little weirded out because, like, the first one was based off of Philip K. Dick's book. I'm a huge fan of his novels, and he never wrote a sequel to Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. So,
Okay.
like, how are you guys going to continue the story? He usually wraps that up pretty well.
Yeah.
Mm. But you were happy with the continuance?
Yeah. And on the flip side, I know sometimes I can just turn my brain off and enjoy the pretty lights.
Nice. Me too.
Yeah. It's the way to be.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So right now I'm working on Captain Marvel's helmet, and then I'm gonna do her like shoulder pads, and the top part of her jacket is red. So I'm just going around just hitting all the models that need red on them while I have the red out. So and having some fun with it because these are such fun little chibi character models, and we gave a bunch of these away at C2E2. Simon provided us with a butt ton of Marvel United miniatures and beyond like the core box characters here, and also a bunch of the new Marvel Zombicide minis, which were very popular at the show.
Was that a metric butt ton or an imperial butt ton?
Imperial.
Okay.
Hmm. Metric is that's just too much. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what 2,000 butt loads.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Sure, it's easy to count, but come on, guys.
I know, right? Let's just keep it, to a manageable level.
I don't want to see a diagram of that. It's terrible.
No, there's no reason to.
All right, so I am getting quite painterly with this guy.
Painterly, ladies and gentlemen watching,
Ooh.
just so you know, painterly is a real term.
It is a term, and I'm going with a little like very fine black to fill in some of these things, so it has like very comic booky vibes to it.
Even
from
more
3 feet away.
painterly. Ooh, I thought you were painting for 2 feet away.
I'm going 1 feet away now.
What?
What?
Ridiculous.
What?
Ridiculous.
I had to look up the word painterly,
Mm.
see how it was defined. And
And the
it has the
definition-
most highfalutin definition of a word that I've read in a very long time.
Yeah.
As an example, Botticelli is a linear painter, whilst Rembrandt's work would be considered painterly.
All right. I like that. I like the reference to Rembrandt.
I feel like reading that I should have a tweed jacket on now. I should just like.
You don't need tweed jacket, but you definitely need patches on your elbows.
Yeah.
I concur, Doctor.
Concur, Doctor.
All right, so let's play a game between ourselves and also with the audience. If we say a quote or some sort of line obscure line quote from a movie, if you can comment which movie that was from or which one you think it was from, put it in the comments, and I'll let you know, or we'll let you know if you're right. Because the one I just did was obviously from a movie.
Are you going to say what it is,
No,
or only after they get it out there?
if they get it.
Well, here's where the fun begins.
Nice.
You saw what I did there, right? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That one's a layup.
It should be a layup. And
Yeah,
hopefully
but I
we'll get
can
some
do
new-
this all day.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
All right. It's kind of funny as these characters, as you're looking at them, right? They have the big head, tiny body vibe, but Captain Marvel's head is so huge compared to her feet on
It's
this
like
model.
Sputnik.
It's like I'm sitting here painting, and no offense to the character, but I feel like I'm painting a hydrocephalic miniature, right? But I just love this style of art. So
I'm having a lot of fun painting this. I got to admit. I'm glad that I set aside this Captain America kind of as a dessert model. I just get to, lavish with some attention for a while.
yeah,
It's a good time.
she also has this like ribbon waist thing that she wears. It's all red, so that makes good use of the red here. Yeah, you've been being able to put a lot of love on that Captain America mini. That thing is going to be dopey dope when it's all said and done.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I thought Captain America was kind of a boring character, and
Mhm.
Boring.
as I've gotten older, I've come to love him a lot more.
All right. Did you read much of the Captain America comics back in the day?
Not really. I was more into X-Men for the most part, the
Okay.
Claremont stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Got into
Cap-
comics in the first place just because of Wolverine, and that
Really?
yeah, like my first comic that I got, I think I was 13 years old, and I had visitation with my dad that weekend. After, so I got the comic. I went to my dad's place, and I forgot it at my dad's house. He
Oh,
read
man.
it, and then when I got there the next time, like, he had subscriptions now.
Nice. All right. So your first comic was a X-Men or Wolverine?
It was
Comic?
Wolverine. Yeah, it was the Wolverine. I don't remember the number,
Mhm.
but it was when Psylocke changed from a British woman to a Japanese woman.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's actually a fun modern key comic. Just because of that instance. My first comic book that I remember was Marvel Superheroes Contest of Champions #1, which is where like Eternity and Death are competing. They pick their teams, and the teams have to fight each other within the Marvel universe. I think it was Death and Eternity, but I was in like third grade when I got this, and my teacher, I was reading it in class, and my teacher took it from me. I was super like saddened because I'd already done the work, and you were allowed to do whatever you wanted until the next thing, right? If you completed the task that was assigned to you, right? And our task was, I think it was like math or something, and I finished it, and I was like, all right, I'm going to read this book, and my teacher took it away from me, and it made me super sad because what teacher would take a book away from a kid, right? Because we're there to learn, and if you're reading, who cares what you're reading as long as you're reading,
Right? That was a weird era. It took a while for teachers to really come to the realization that they're reading. It doesn't matter.
right? Which drove me to read more books, right? If I feel like if I didn't read comic books or had exposure to comics, I probably wouldn't have picked up like Lord of the Rings and read the Hobbit and or any of the like the John Carter series. When I was in middle school, man, John Carter, all of those novels, Tarzan, everything, all the Conan pulp stuff. So it's like I literally blame comic books for my joy of reading. All the Forgotten Realms novels, all the Dragonlance novels, comic
That
books, I
was
think, was my compass.
yeah, that was definitely my gateway to higher literacy.
Mm-hmm.
It surprises me now as I'm much older that I can interject into a conversation. Oh yeah, I read this book. I'm like, and that's all comic books' fault. Like
Yeah,
that branched out.
exactly. So again, in order to try to get the people watching to join us in the chat, tell us what if you read comics, what was the first comic book you picked up? And what did comics do for you, right? Um, besides, drain your wallet, you know.
I recently picked up my little box of comics that I kept. Some of
Ooh,
like the early ones or whatever. I gave a bunch away in middle school because I was in love with a girl that loved me
nice,
for a week and a half, and I gave them all to her little brother. So you're welcome,
nice.
Joey. But I remember like my first one was a Captain. No, it was an Avengers, and I think it was the one with it had Hawkeye and the Swordsman, which is funny because the
Ooh,
Swordsman just was recently in Hawkeye, and it
yeah,
was very short lived in that. And then like I remember like the Green Hornet one was one that I picked up, and then this old
okay,
school Daredevil. It's been beaten. The Blackheart has been beaten to heck.
nice.
And it's not been in boards or anything. But there was a really cool shop in Howell. I grew up, and it was called Atomic Comics, and they had like the quarter bin ones, and there were a lot of
Yeah,
like the Spectacular Spider-Mans, but they were from like late 70s, 78, 79 or whatever, and they were a
yeah,
quarter, and I thought they were the coolest thing, and they were just giving them away,
yeah.
like, and then the Marvel Tales were the retelling of like the Green
All the
Goblin
Spider-Man.
and stuff
Yeah,
like that, those Tales
mhm.
ones, or like the king size annuals, you'd get like those. So they had a bunch of cool old school ones that kind of get you into
Mhm.
it. um the Punisher I liked a lot, like later on, once I
Yeah,
got
for
into
sure.
a little bit. Um,
The Punisher is worth liking a lot because the Punisher is awesome.
say Spider-Man was probably my favorite. X-Men after that, but like the Spider-Man and that whole Revenge of the Sinister Six, like
Mm,
was really uh, inspirational to me. And I think we talked about it in the past too, but like the Image came out around late '90s, mid late '90s, and like all the Jim Lee stuff after he crossed over right from doing the Marvel and the X-Men stuff. Um, all that stuff was really really great.
oh yeah, absolutely.
And now those guys are running the world, right? The comic world.
They are. They're killing it. Have you guys seen the trailer for the new Deadpool movie?
I have not seen the trailer.
Okay. There is a Rob Liefeld Easter egg in the trailer,
Oh, okay.
which is super funny, and it's fun because you know even Rob himself uh, can joke about it. So
It's
Yeah,
not the Captain America
I don't want to
chest.
spoil it.
Is it the Captain America chest?
no,
You know
no,
what I'm
no.
talking
Yeah,
Yes,
about? Yeah.
yes, of course. It's so good, so funny.
he's gone back and redone that Captain America chest with Falcon now.
Tons. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, it's so funny.
Completely self-aware. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, for sure.
we talked about that, like the fly swatter feet, and like
Hmm.
they were cranking them out though.
Yeah. I would challenge any non-comic book artist that will critique an artist on their skill set when they're cranking it out. Well, it's like, yeah, you can critique all you want, but are you doing 28 pages a month?
Right.
All right. Sequentially.
And this is before we were doing it on apps, which also had line correction and
Right.
layers. This was on paper.
Yeah.
Yes.
pretty wild.
And Rob Liefeld was like 16 when he was doing like getting into the industry. You know, he was one of the youngest professional comic book artists.
Was he the one that just kept bugging and bugging the other comic book artists and just like he wouldn't leave him alone?
I don't know
Like,
about that, but maybe. I just know he was one of the youngest to ever like get a job in the industry, and you know you can't fault him for being young and as talented as he was. He's not going to be perfect, but the fact that he said he's self-aware, which makes it even more fun.
I feel like it was Rob Liefeld and Frank Miller. He was like trying to like pick his brain like crazy.
I mean, if I had the opportunity to pick Frank Miller's brain, I would too.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a talent.
Frank Miller's gotten kind of salty in his old age. I've heard he's for what that's worth, but yeah, that guy is incredibly talented. He and this is a bit of a throwback. Even he got really frustrated with Hollywood, and we almost didn't get the Sin City movie
Ooh,
because of another film that he wrote,
which one?
RoboCop 3.
Oh, snap. Full circle.
And they gutted it. They gutted his script.
Wow. That's interesting. The more you know. All right. I don't think Wasp has, I mean, she has some red lines, but I'm not going to put those on there. It looks like the shoot, I'm brain farting. Taskmaster here has some red on him. So let's see if I can get that taken care of. There we go. Get up in there.
All up in there.
Yeah. Get that red up in there. Blap, blap. There we go. So again, anybody watching, if you have any questions about painting, ask away. We are using the Fanatics, the Army Painter Fanatic paints, the War Paint Fanatic, which is great. Also looks like he has some red on his arm a little bit.
You got red on you.
Bit of red on you.
Buddy.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Oh, red, bit of red right there. Yeah. Oh, what? Oh, yeah. Oh, thanks.
I am not placing that quote. I'm failing with this one.
Oh, really? We talked about it. Part of the Cornetto.
Okay.
We did. Yep. And of course, you know, the one thing about painting miniatures is it's for something very specific. And I like to call it the greater good.
The greater good.
All right. I think I'm going to stop with the reds now, and I'm going to move to gold or yellow. We're on Iron Man some more, and also Captain Marvel has some yellow on her as well, and then the Wasp has some yellow on her as well. So I'm going to use demonic yellow or daemonic, DAEMONIC, yellow.
Your mom will let you buy that one because it's of the spelling. So a little more accessible to everybody.
Right.
I think that's what they called in Wildcats, the Daemonites, or not the Demonites. They're like Daemonites.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think they were aliens.
It could have been
Wildcats.
I never read Wildcats. That wasn't a. It wasn't
they had a cartoon. The cartoon's terrible, but the comic was good. But it definitely was a bit of an X-Men. It's a Jim Lee. It's a bit of an X-Men. Art imitates art,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But the Grifter, he kind of had a Gambit flair. He had a trench coat. I mean, arguably, you could say that it was just because of that.
Okay.
But cool. There's a Zealot. There was a guy that was called Maul, and he was basically like he was like the Incredible Hulk. He would get angry and get real big, but he was like purple.
All right. So he's the color of the Hulk's pants.
He
What was
was like
what was Maul's pants color?
he was like he had the purple with like green. I think maybe an M or something drawn on him, but he had these like weird horns that came off his back.
Mm. So what you're saying is he was reverse Hulk.
Yeah.
He was reverse Hulk.
Negative Hulk.
Mm.
Exactly.
Okay.
And there was a little guy. Trying to say, make sure I say the right. No, there's a little person nomenclature here. That was their boss. He kind of had a Hannibal vibe going on because he smoked a cigar. You know,
Okay.
Hannibal from the A-Team.
Hannibal from the A-Team vibe. You know,
Not
Okay.
Hannibal with the elephants or the psychiatrist.
Or
No.
Lecter.
no. And so he was kind of. I think he was like some millionaire, billionaire. They put this team together. You know, and
Mm.
Wildcats was like it's covert ops. So I think they were. You know, but
Okay.
anyway, I liked him way too much.
All right. That makes sense. I can see you liking something way too much.
It never happens. I don't get obsessed with things.
No?
But yeah, bringing
Yes.
these trusty comic books out made me all the memories just come flooding back in. You know,
That's amazing.
I'm looking forward to those rainy weekends. You could just stay in and read the whole pile again.
that is fun, right?
Yeah.
I don't probably once a couple times a year. I kind of get bit to like go back in the comic store and pick something up. You know, maybe a trade, so I don't have to find all the individuals. But like Saga, did you ever read that? It was kind of like that newer book.
Hmm.
We talked about it a little bit.
I heard good things. I haven't had a chance to read it.
It won a lot of awards. The artist
Yeah.
and the writer did.
It's definitely different than other, comic books. It's kind of a space odyssey, kind of some
Hmm.
honestly Star Wars vibes, but it's just kind of a space odyssey. But it's like, it's interesting. It's worth a read for sure. Good art. It's a little racy, adult themed stuff here and there.
Hmm.
Did that first run, and then I would dare to say it jumped the shark after that. But I would say it's worth the read, and I'm still buying them. So I mean, who knows? When they come out, I still buy them.
All right. What's the name of the writer again?
He does what? Last Man. One. I should know this off the top of my head. I'm like, couldn't I?
Brian K. Vaughan?
Yeah.
Who was the artist?
A female.
Uh-huh. She won a lot of awards.
Yeah, she's awesome. Her covers are amazing.
Fiona Staples.
Fiona Staples. Thank you.
Nailed it.
Yeah, she won like at least 2 or 3 years in a row the best artists awards for the Harvey Awards, which is like yeah, a pretty prestigious award within the industry.
Her technique is immaculate. Wow. Yeah, she is very talented.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty to look at.
Yeah,
It's kind of a unique story. Well, I think you would like it. I'm gonna put that. It gets the Will stamp of approval. You would like it.
Okay.
Yeah, agreed.
That was like that era in comics, the switch to Image. That was such a big deal, and I don't think anybody in this era would quite pick up why it was such a big deal. But Image found a way to print their comics with so many more colors
Mm-hmm.
than Marvel could, and they had better quality paper because Marvel was still doing like newsprint and like 8 colors.
They did the glossy. They got to the glossy, and I think that was when they were starting to colorize everything like digitally. It's one of the first digitally colorized books, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I also feel like there was also a lot of they're doing all those special covers, like the foil covers and stuff, because like Bloodshot and Turok, the last dinosaur.
Turok, yeah.
or Turok Dinosaur Hunter had the metallic, and I think lenticular covers were starting to come out around that time as well. So there's so much good and interesting things, but the only problem was in that era, it was a time where they flooded the market with all those things. But what's fun is today, the people that are going back and buying up comic books are the kids of that era
Hmm.
that were big fans of, like you said, Wildcats. I wasn't a Wildcats fan. That was after my time of like
Right.
getting into comics. So, which isn't to say they weren't great books and stories by amazing, talented artists, because they obviously were. But I wasn't so much tuned into that stuff.
Yeah, just a slightly different generation. Right?
Yeah, for sure. And but that generation of comic has paved the way for so much more to take place. Independently owned characters, right? Because that was another thing that was really a hot button item, is like if you made a character for Marvel or DC, you didn't own it, they did, right? But with Image and a bunch of other publishers since, if you make a character and write a story around that character, that's your character. You own that character's
Own
rights,
that.
unless they buy it off you, right?
Yeah, you're not just a staff artist anymore, right?
Yeah, and that was a great thing, I think.
So super influential was this whole saga. We talked about it not too long ago.
Oh,
Days of Future Past. What?
Yeah, great story.
Oh, good. It was definitely
Very
Well,
influential.
like they go through this, you see the cemetery or whatever. Like that page is just like, oh my gosh, all my favorite, guys are dead. They're gone.
Yes.
was funny because they did something just like that in the Infinity Gauntlet in the comic. Right after the snap, they had basically the same page, and I was just like, "Hey,
Yep,
I know what
sure
you're
did.
doing there."
But that made it also kind of cool.
Yeah, there was some really good moments in that comic. Rereading it, it shows its age.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not mad at the deviations from that tale
Right.
to what we got in MCU, not at all. But
Yeah.
I do wish we got that moment on the rooftop when Hulk was talking to Wolverine, and they both were like, "Yeah, I don't think anybody else downstairs will straight up kill Thanos, but you and me, brother, we got him. If
Right.
push comes to shove, we will take him out."
Right. Yeah, that was a missed opportunity, but hopefully we'll get some stuff with the merging. That'll be a fun multiversal play, maybe, on some of that stuff that we missed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was a curious thing about the MCU as well, that it just struck me from the first one, and I couldn't believe they kept doing it from film to film, that they were killing the villains.
Yep.
So
like Claw in Black Panther.
Yeah.
What a great character. Oh man. When Ultron chopped his arm off.
Oh.
Oh my God. Oh, I'm sorry. That looks like it hurt.
No, oops.
Whoops. So good. I love that stuff.
We were talking Havoc.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I love Havoc.
Havoc.
Mm-hmm. It was
Yeah, Havoc's a great character.
Yeah. And I had Wolvie in his black outfit. Didn't he normally wear that in Madripoor? He was either Patch, or then he was like Ninja Logan.
He actually is wearing kind of his dark brown and mustard one in this here.
Okay. All right. So still playing with the yellow on Wasp here. I love the fact that Wasp is supposed to be miniaturized, even though she's the same size as all the other characters, because the miniaturization is represented by the fact that there's a D6 right here, which is so cool.
That's awesome.
All right.
And relative scale is like you're going to have a D6 right there too.
Right.
I love when they put stuff like that into the bases. Just makes it more alive.
Well, with Ant-Man, he's on like a quarter, which is kind of cool.
Oh, nice.
All right. Like flip the coin. He's riding it in. Yeah, I love it.
We'll have a Two-Face Ant-Man crossover.
Ooh. That would be cool, considering the company that makes this game, CMON, is doing a DC version of it. DC United. So
If they keep the rules similar enough, then you can just homebrew your own, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Did you see the Jim Lee crossover, DC Marvel crossover?
Yeah. Super excited for it.
Yeah, that's cool.
That was a cool announcement this week. Or last week. Was it last week?
I think technically.
I had no idea we had something like that coming.
Mm-hmm. They need it. The industry needs it. At least that's my opinion. The comic book industry needs something to spark life into it. I feel like there's a lot of discontent, or that, like, a lot of people are saying, the movies are given some form of fatigue, like superhero fatigue, to the consumer, and that might be bleeding over into the comic book space. I hope not, but if it is, that's a good way to fix it. Do a crossover between the two biggest giants with the best known superheroes. All right.
If anything, I kind of got like crisis fatigue, because it was just one major world-ending crisis. There was never any sense of scale in between.
Yeah, you're talking like the Infinity Crisis, or Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah.
Yeah. That seems fair. The thing that I always found interesting, and I don't really, it's a critique, but it's not like, it doesn't anger me by any means. But one of the things I thought was always interesting is they're always fighting aliens. Right?
Aliens get boring after a while, right?
What's that?
Do you like that, or you think it gets boring?
No, it gets boring. It's like,
I agree.
Yeah, so
Captain Marvel's aliens, boring.
Yeah, yeah, but it bothered me to the point where it's like, okay, Marvel is fighting the Chitauri, right? DC fights either the alien creatures from Apocalypse, right, or White Martians. It's like, come on. It doesn't have to be an alien threat. There's so many good villains and stuff within the DCU on Earth. Give us some stories that involve that. It's kind of like I think I've said it before. I don't know if you all would agree with this, but do you remember the movie The Time Machine that had Guy Pearce in it?
Oh yeah, I kind of like that one, but there's the weird, yeah.
So he had the Morlocks, right?
Yep.
In that, and the Morlocks leader was this white-skinned, white-haired
Omega Man. That's like the Omega Man too, right?
Yeah, like the smart Morlock, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you had during that same like era in television, you had Hellboy 2 with Prince Nuada, Prince and Princess Prince Nuada, who looked like an albino elf.
Yeah.
Right? And then you had the Wraiths from Stargate Atlantis that looked exactly like Prince Nuada and the other character there I just mentioned from Time Machine, the Morlock, had a baby. And then Star Trek, the alternate timeline Star Trek with Chris Pine, they had a character on there that was.
Yeah.
It's like, were all of the makeup artists just like from the same course of instruction or something? I don't know. It just was weird.
Yeah, it is a little odd that they were so similar. You know.
There was a really good sale on ash white paint.
Right? All the body paint they could get.
Yeah. Well, now we got to use it.
Yep. Before it goes bad. I just thought it was interesting. Right? And what's interesting about that is games can have the same thing go on as well. Right? As an example, for 1 year, all the new games, all the new hotness, everybody's excited about zombies, right? Then the next year, everybody's publishing games about cats. You know, Isle of Cats, cat lady, cat on a tin roof. You know, all these cat cafe, all these different cat games. Then the next year, it's bunnies, or pandemics. You know,
Or Cthulhu, which I
or
jumped on that bandwagon hard.
well, yeah, well, Cthulhu became so inundating in the industry because it became an open source or public domain character. So everybody's like, "Oh, shoot, we can all do something now."
Let's get on
And
some Lovecraft. Yeah.
guess what they did? They did it.
There's some
everybody
good
got on.
games. There's some real bad
Absolutely.
games.
Yeah, there's some really good ones out there for sure. It's just funny how sometimes it's like, are all these publishers talking to each other? And it's like, hey, what kind of game are you making? Oh, I'm making a cat game. It's gonna be really slick. Cool. I'm thinking about doing a deck builder. Oh yeah, what kind? With cats. No kidding. It's funny.
Yeah. I mean, you know, people put out what sells, you know, and they see, what do they say? Imitation's the greatest.
Form of
Take it on
flattery.
home. Take it on home. Yeah.
But I don't think that's the case in this. I think it's
Yeah.
just interesting that they just kind of ride the same waves, and sometimes they ride the same wave without anybody really, I think, even really talking about it. It just happens. It's like, yep, I've been working on a cat game for 6 years, and it's coming out. Crap, I've got one too.
Those do come in waves, though. That is interesting. Like, we're talking movies like all the like the, what was it, Volcano, and then Dante's Peak, like all the
Yeah, Day After Tomorrow, all the Apocalypse movies came
Yeah,
out
yeah.
like within like a 2 year frame. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
wild.
yeah,
Well,
I got-
that was latching on to some zeitgeist, right? Because that was all right around the Y2K scare.
Hmm. Yep, for
oh,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you wonder if this is like you're seeing a moment where it's like gorillas during the golden age comics, right? They had to have a gorilla on every cover because that worked once.
Right. What's your gorilla? Grodd. What's your gorilla? General something or other.
What if we had a
ridiculous.
gorilla fighting a gorilla?
What? That's comic sales out the wazoo for sure, or game sales. But it's wild, you know. All right.
It's fun to catch those while they're happening.
Right. Well, like the zombie craze, I think was initiated because of the success of Walking Dead.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure. Did anybody read the Walking Dead comics before they became the
Mhm.
runaway? I did not.
Sure.
I did
I
not
read-
get into it until later.
Yeah, I read. I think I started like on issue 13 or 14, and then kind of stopped after issue 100 because that's when Glenn died in the comics.
What spoiler?
I know, right?
I gotta say that was quite the dramatic shift for the writer for that comic, like
Mhm.
the stuff that he came from, and then he just like jumped into Walking Dead. So happy for his success, but that's quite a shift from Battle Pope.
Battle Pope.
Battle Pope, yes,
Amazing.
not really
So Robert Kirkman did Battle Pope.
Battle Pope, and I think he also did Warrior Nun, which is turned into a series that exists on Netflix.
Yeah,
And it is
it's good.
certainly is a series of all time.
I had a great time with it.
Did you?
Yeah, I thought it was super fun. The halo that they put on their back that makes them kind of immortal. It's pretty interesting.
What is this?
It's a show called Battle Angel.
Oh, Battle.
No, Warrior Nun.
Or I'm sorry, yeah, you're right, Warrior Nun. Thank you. It's kind of cool. I enjoyed it.
I wasn't as taken by the second season.
Okay.
But it was the
If I was
first
just
season was a
tuning in-
bit more fun.
If I was just
Agreed.
tuning in, I would think this was a fake conversation.
It's not.
Hi, everybody.
right.
Welcome to Bath of the Rush. We are
Bath of the
talking
Rush.
about
We're
Warrior.
talking about Warrior Nuns. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Oh man. So doing the yellow on Captain Marvel's uniform here. Excuse me. You're
Oh,
welcome,
my.
everybody. You're welcome. I'm allergic to yellow, apparently.
How do you tan your hide then?
That's a
Remember
good
that? Remember
No,
that?
no, I did not. I do not remember that.
From our guest talking about that's how you get the
Oh
yellow.
yeah, yeah. When Rich Gain
Yes.
joined us, for sure.
What a wealth of knowledge
We
that
gained-
guy had.
We gained some
Yeah.
knowledge that day.
We sure did. Done.
Like that guy would know how to survive like a rogue planetoid coming
Oh,
in
yeah.
from outer space, like in 1994, somewhere around there.
Well, so yeah, I think he would have been. He'd be able to survive it. And but you know who's going to save us all in the event that because we're currently in the decline of humanity based on the events of 1994 when a runaway planet from outer space collided between the Earth and the Moon, unleashing cosmic destruction. Right. We're currently in that space and time where the destruction is taking place. But thankfully, we have something to look forward to, and that is when this individual right here, in about 2,000 years from now, this individual right here is going to break his bonds and fight for justice with his companions, Ukla the Mach and Princess Ariel. And if anybody can tell me in the chat who that individual is, I have a feeling I could probably send them. Oh, what is that? Oh, a starter set of Fanatic paints. If anybody would want a starter set of Fanatic paints, who was the individual who used the Sun Sword, right? And like to say things like demon dogs and lords of light when he would, charge into battle or see something that shocked him.
Good thing I didn't put the splash screen up.
Ooh, good thing you did
That
not.
was really close.
Yeah. I'm putting the testers on there. So in the comments on the show here, tell us who this character is. This person right here. I mean, even He-Man has to give thanks to this individual. And if we don't get an answer soon, we're just gonna have to give it up. I think if we give about let's give him another minute. That's it. 1 minute.
For
Who is
Fanatic,
this individual? For a Fanatic starter set.
Mm.
Yep. Right there. This guy. Boom, boom, boom.
That's a lot
Yeah.
of paints. That's a lot of paints.
Oh, it's I think 12 or so, maybe 16, something. I can't remember what the starter set comes. It's the smallest like essential set or whatever. So yeah, who is this wonderful character that is going to save us in 2,000 years when the world becomes a strange new place full of sorcery, savagery, and super science. You know, it's pretty important there that we all survive. But I don't think anybody's going to say it. We got like 20 some people watching us, and nobody's commenting. But I appreciate you all watching. I have a feeling you're painting miniatures and can't get to the keyboard because you got that brush in your hand and the miniature in the other. And it's like, I can't do it. I can't type with my elbows. So I can
I hope
appreciate
somebody
it.
didn't remember and then they like tipped over their paint cup and now it's all.
Which I don't know if you notice. You see on my mat here, this spot. I before I came on the show, I was moving some stuff around and I spilt my paint cup, all the water all over the table, and made a big mess, as one does, you know. So it's ridiculous.
I think I'm going to call, believe it or not, I'm going to call the Incredible Hulk complete for now.
What?
Yeah, it's been 3 shows.
Yeah.
I mean, I might go back and touch them up a little bit. I just can't do any more right now.
Sure.
Been 3 shows, and
Mhm.
so I got them quite like
He looks great.
little recesses, and you never pick up a man's mini and show it to the bottom, but
Mm.
kind of you did the darker lines, so it has like a little bit of a comic book feel there.
Mm-hmm.
Chest to popping.
Nice. You know how you got those pecs?
Pectoralis.
Deep flies.
That's such.
Deep flies. That's how you get big pecs.
Remember when I said I'd kill you last?
Mhm. I lied.
I lied.
So good. It looks amazing, buddy. Good job.
Looks good.
Well, I know that there are people probably yelling at their screen the character's name, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it, ladies and gentlemen. It will be Thundar the Barbarian who will save us all.
Oh,
yeah.
Thundar the Barbarian.
That's right. There he is. Woo, woo. I wonder if that's copyrighted now. Can you make that sound, or is it a Lucasfilms thing? Does Disney own that? I don't know. Woo, 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 woo.
Up until you had to deal with Disney's lawyers, I thought you could get away with it.
Right? I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those Disney lawyers.
It's true. All very true.
All right. Well, Shellhead's bases are kind of coming around. I gotta move along. Take a look at a few others here. So I got Shellhead, and it was kind of cool as Iron Man's base here has like a fiery explosion around his feet. So that'll be fun to paint the base on that. Ultron has like a bunch of like broken concrete with like electronic stuff underneath him. Black Widow's base is a rubbled street, and it looks like a girder, like an I-beam piece here, which would be like maybe during the aliens attack on New York in the Avengers movie. And then Red Skull's base is again very similar to Ultron's. The Hulk has again the girder, so it's like the combat event in New York, I think, is where they're trying to go with that. Wasp is the D6. Captain Marvel looks kind of like almost like a rubbly sidewalk, as does nope. Taskmaster's also looks like the same kind of base like Red Skull and Ultron, and like I said before, Ant-Man's obviously on a quarter there, and Captain America also Battle for New York. He's on a street. There's a little like street drain there, but it's all rubbly because New York is collapsing around them from the Chitauri attacking. It's kind of neat. And what's also kind of neat is all the powers that these characters have in the game. Super fun.
So give us a little rundown how the game plays. Is it skirmish style?
It's not. it's you're going around this board, right? And as you're playing the game, you're trying to gain control of these zones with your character. So you are going. Let's say this one is a move and a superstar event, and then if I were to play that card, that's what would happen. I'd be able to move one to the right, and also do a superstar event, which I can't really describe off the top of my head. Let me, go to the rule book real quick.
For the rule book. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah,
Are those on like the character cards?
it's a heroic action. Yeah, these are so. Yeah, every character has their own deck of cards, which also represents their life in the game. So once you run out of cards, your character is knocked out. But how it plays is if I played this one, right, Captain Marvel would get to move one zone, right? But then if I played the Wasp next, or the player who has a Wasp played this card, they would get this action. So you get the action of the player that last played plus your own. So this is a great card because she gets two wild card actions. So she could move twice, she could punch twice, she could do all sorts of stuff with the wild card action. And then the next player would play, let's say, Ant-Man. So he would move, but also get the doubled up wild cards from Wasp. And then Taskmaster would show up, and he would move 4 and do a bam, which means that he's going to, wherever he lands, everybody in that is going to take damage, which is like discard a card. And you would also place 3 thugs into the zone that he's in, and you have to defeat the thugs to gain control of zones and stuff like that. So,
Okay, very cool.
yeah, it's a fun little game. The barrier of entry of play is very low in regards to like it's made for like younger players.
Okay.
As an example, it is a game for. I'm looking for the little information on how many players and age range. So 14 up players, 1 to 4 players. But I'm betting that you could probably play this with a 10-year-old and they'd get it real quick.
That's good. The gateway games, I love it.
Yeah, they are super fun. All right, I'm going to do some silver real quick. Play with that for a little bit. I love the metallics in the Fanatic line. They are so nice. All right, where is I'm going to work on the Wasp with some metallics and Ant-Man because they got their silvered helmet and arm bits, and the Wasp actually her wings though are kind of like nanotech. I'm going to do them as silvered out wings. So,
did you ever watch the Marvel cartoon Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes?
A little bit.
That a good representation of Wasp. And the first season had a great finale. The whole show was great. That one was really fun.
Nice.
They let Hulk shine, and when they get to let Hulk shine, it makes people happy.
I agree. I feel like watching the Hulk do what the Hulk does is like watching a game where everybody hits a home run. Right? It's just crazy and wild.
Yeah, and all too often they like the jobber.
Right. And he's not.
That doesn't feel good. He's the Hulk.
Right. Did you watch was that the one where the Hulk was kind of like the bad guy in the majority of that or was this like more of like kid-esque cartoon?
No, he was treated as a bad guy for most of it, and he got to be a hero at the end, so that made it even better. Like, because he was treated as, as terrible and scary, and then when he goes and does something nice and heroic, it's a big character moment, and yeah,
because I feel like that's the one where it's kind of Earth's Mightiest Heroes was like the animated version of Marvel or Avengers Ultimate Avengers. Remember that comic?
I didn't get to read that one,
Yeah.
but I remember like they had the ultimate run of just about everything.
Yeah, and that's kind of where Thor and the hammer like axe version was kind of
Oh,
premiered,
yeah.
was in that. Because that was in that cartoon you're talking about, right? Thor had the hammer like Stormbreaker that is in the movies, right?
He had Mjolnir, but there was a point when they even brought in Beta Ray Bill, and I think
Oh.
in that point he got Stormbreaker.
Oh. I must be thinking of a different movie then. Animated movie.
As this was a series.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. If anybody watching can remember the name of the movie that I'm talking about, the animated movie where it was basically Ultimate Avengers in animation form. That was rock star level stuff. Thor is like when they first see Thor, he's on a fishing boat where they're like he's on a Greenpeace fishing boat, and another organization is like trying to stop them from doing the thing, and he just kind of does a very like, I've been drinking meat all day. Let me finish this real quick. And he does a very Thor thing.
God of Thunder. What is that one called? God of Thunder of Love.
Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was fun.
It was.
Fun. And then Christian Bale?
Yeah. Who played Gore the God Slayer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or Gar, something like that. The God Slayer.
That was an excellent role for him. He knocked that out of the park.
Agreed. He did a great job.
All right, so I'm doing Venom. I'm trying to do, the one where he's got more blue on him than he does black.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm going to try to do this type of deal.
Okay.
Looks like he's wearing chaps right now, but
Mhm.
and then I'm gonna go back with some black in there, like clean it
Nice.
up. Try to do that.
Okay.
Look. And then
Very cool.
You might just be able to layer on some black wash once you get
Yeah.
that nailed in, and until it lands just right.
Call it a day, right?
Yeah. And then you'll be
Yep.
frustrated that it looks so great and you barely had to try.
Right.
I like those moments though.
Those are fun moments.
All right. A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
We're having a good time when we don't talk. All of a sudden we're
I know. It's because I
into
really and dead air is the worst, but
it is.
I'm really digging like the Ant-Man's helmet here, and painting Ant-Man is always kind of a cool thing because he's a fun character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've finally landed on the spot with Cap where I don't want to go any farther because now I'll start ruining things.
Mm.
Yeah, that's right. Where I put the Hulk down. It's like I could ruin him pretty much.
And we don't need that or want that. So
Very nice.
Yeah, that looks great.
Yeah, real happy with how he's coming out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I kind of, honestly, I really just want to do the quarter on Ant-Man here. That's a pretty cool base.
We're going at it with a little Fanatic turquoise siren. Give it up to Army Painter. Fanatic.
Yeah, big shout out.
Oh, should we do the shout outs? Have we done those yet?
We have not. We got about 5 minutes before I want to do shout outs.
Okay.
Because I think I'm going to shout out how the silver is going to look on this quarter. This dirty sewer quarter.
When you're doing metallics, do you have any like anything that you do? Do you just put the metallic down? Do you do anything else with it? Because I usually put like a wash over it to dull the shine.
I'll do it. Yeah, I'll wash it afterwards. They're kind of the same thing. But I'm kind of doing like a heavy wet dry brush, I guess you could say, just to catch these edges on the quarter because I want it to be kind of a dirty, and then I'll hit it with probably strong tone to maintain that. As you can, I don't know if you can tell in the overhead here.
Let's see that.
The tone is strong with this one.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, so I'm hitting it with silver, right, to give it the shine. But because I based it in black, it's gonna have the shading in there already. But I do want to reduce the shine of the silver because it does look too clean, right?
Yeah.
So I don't
Especially
want
for a
that.
quarter laying on the ground.
Yeah. So we'll hit it up and dirty it up afterwards, and it'll be amazing. Which will, then give us an opportunity to give a good shout out.
So I was trying a new technique. I don't know if it's new, but like do a dry brush, but blend like as a blender. So
Mm-hmm.
I did like really dark recesses, then I was doing really high, highlights, and then I was getting kind of a medium to like dry brushed it, kind of like the opposite of what you do. And
Right.
but it actually worked as a nice blender, and then I could go back and touch up some of those highlights. Sometimes it looked, too dark. So that was kind of a
Sure.
new thing I was trying on the old Hulk there.
Okay. Like almost like a reverse wet blend.
Yeah.
Okay. That's kind of an interesting take.
That's a technique I haven't played with much.
Nice. All right. So I'm going to grab a strong tone here after that dries. But yeah, let's give some shout outs. Thank you to the Army Painter, our exclusive paint partner in Path of the Brush, and many other things here with Hoplite Games and all the things we got going on. Also, a big shout out to Tabletop Gurus and to Hoplite Games, and shout out to Game Envy, the makers of the Hobby Handle, and shout out to Gen Con and Gen Con TV and everybody over there that allow us to come on here and have these wonderful social experiment conversations with y'all. We're going to be looking at getting some guests on in some of the near future episodes, so stay tuned for that. And also, big shout out to CMON Games. Even though they are not a sponsor, they're the makers of the miniatures that we are currently painting, and we want to say thank you for making some fun miniatures that we've had the opportunity to paint. And who am I missing? You guys got anybody else?
Gen Con TV.
Gen Con TV. Yep, said that. Yeah. I think we're good on the shout outs then. So yeah. And of course, big shout out and thank you to everybody that's watching. Again, if you haven't done so yet, hit that heart, hit that bell, so that you don't miss any of the notifications for when Gen Con TV goes live. Because though you may like coming and watching us and painting with us, there's a lot of amazing content being created here on this platform. To include, just as an example, right after our show this evening will be Actoroki, which is a unlike any other TTRPG stream out there where they play D&D and then turn it into a movie. You won't want to miss it. Then on Thursdays, you got Blood on the Clock Tower, Roll with Rem Alternus, which is kind of fun because I saw Rem at C2E2.
Oh, nice. How's she been?
Yeah, doing very well. And Rem was there to meet Freddie Prinze Jr. Because recently he was seen on socials painting a BattleTech miniature. So
Really?
Rem brought a little gift package for him. So that was super cool. And then Friday, we've already mentioned Table Takes, which is like your weekly news and updates. And then following that is Sarah's Table on Fridays. And then Mondays, we have Peter and versus the Machine, where he takes on different games. And on Dress to Quest. And then Tuesdays, Indie by Night, a little Vampire the Masquerade action, which is one of my favorite games of the 90s when I was out doing LARPs, as we all do, right? And I played a
Oh, right.
Ventrue, which is a blue blood, which is super fun. Yeah. So all sorts of cool content being created here on Gen Con TV. So make sure you're following, and if you have the ability to do so, hit the subscribe button. You can use your, I believe you can still use your Amazon Prime free follow. So if you haven't used it on another channel, use it on us. That'd be great.
I used mine again just last week, so I know you still can, or at least you could a week ago.
Nice. Let me see if I can do it on here. See how, just to see if I can see how people. Mine's already is subscribed, but I'm trying to figure out if it will show me that you can, how you can do it.
When you hit the subscribe button, it like pushed you through the prompts pretty easily.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You barely needed to exercise reading comprehension.
Yeah, but because I've already subscribed, it's not giving me other than upgrade options.
Yeah.
So that's funny. Anyways, again, shout out to everybody, all of our sponsors. And if you are so inclined, give them a follow. Give Army Painter a follow. Give Game Envy a follow on YouTube, Twitch, all the socials that you follow, whatever your favorite or preferred platform it might be. Because again, they're kind enough to help support what we're doing in building a community around painting miniatures, trying to lower the barrier of apprehension, because anybody can paint, right? Anybody can paint a miniature. And I've seen some people that are super talented, but when I first talked to them, they were just like, I've never painted a miniature. It's not going to be great. And you give them their first miniature and you're like, why am I doing a show? You should be doing it. Your miniatures look so much better. Right. Because, but we just want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable, comes on, enjoys it, paints with us. If you're painting at home, that's awesome. And yeah, paint more miniatures. Follow the path of the brush. It's so much fun.
Just hanging with your friends, talking movies.
Talking movies, man. At a game store, all right? So if you're ever in Lansing, Michigan, stop by Hoplite Games and paint with me. Or paint, and I'll walk around and go, you're doing a great job. All right.
It does help get past the apprehension too. 'Cause when there's a store like yours that helps out with the new painters, has all the stuff there, right? They don't have to just buy all the stuff and then hope that they enjoy the hobby. Get a taste.
Yep, you get an opportunity. So every Thursday here is paint night, and we bring people from the local community come in. All the paint is supplied, all of the brushes are supplied. They just have to show up, and then if they have a miniature that they want to paint that's their own, they can bring it. If they want to buy one, I'm never going to stop them. But if they don't have one, we provide them with a free miniature, because once they get started, and if they really enjoy it, then we are hoping that they'll start doing it regularly. And maybe if they never play a game, just having them paint miniatures is fun, right? Because you don't have to play the games to enjoy the hobby of painting, or the hobby of building a model, right? Because a lot of miniatures require you to build it, like putting the arms and head and everything together to build it. And that's another aspect of the hobby that's a lot of fun, not for me, but for others. I'd rather not have to build them, but because it is part of the hobby, you got to. But I prefer just the painting side of it. So, and then playing the games as well. So super fun. All right. Very cool.
I think ages ago I saw a statistic on that such an enormous part of the community is more interested in painting than actually playing the games.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a guy come in today at the store. First time in, was grabbing some Army Painter Speed Paint 2.0 plug. And I asked him what he was working on. And he goes, oh, I just I'm painting some Bones miniatures and I do a couple other things. And I go, oh, cool. So you play D&D? He goes, no, I just really enjoy painting miniatures. I was like, that's awesome. So I talked about, Thursday paint night, uh, becoming part of our community, sharing his stuff with us on Discord. So it was great. And that's another thing too, is if you never come to our store, it doesn't mean you can't be a part of the store community. And we are really active on our Discord channel. If you go on to Hoplite Games on Facebook, there's a link there in the posts that'll take you straight to our Discord. And we have a sub channel for miniature painting where you can post up your works in progress or your completed miniatures, and we can all go, awesome, you did a great job, or how did you get that effect, right? So it's a really fun community, and everybody's really hypes one another about what they're doing. So
Yeah.
it's
And you can ask others how they got that effect too if you're just
Mhm.
starting out.
Yeah. And if you ask me, I'm going to tell you the truth by accident. No, I'm kidding. Very cool. So our next thing we got going on here with Path of the Brush and painting and all that stuff is I would say every Thursday, but so we're moving, just so you guys know, everybody watching, we're moving into another part of the building here, into a much larger space. And we're going to have a bit. So for June 22nd, we're going to do a big event. It's Free RPG Day. And if you're not following Free RPG Day, you need to, and also to find out where your local game store is having Free RPG Day, if they're having it or not, or which one local to you is having it. And if you're not familiar with that, it's like an annual holiday where a bunch of publishers provide content that's sent to stores, and the stores have a little bit of an event around RPGs, and you can come in. Most of the time, you can get one or two things from the offerings, but a lot of stores will use those opportunities to maybe grab some social follows. Hey, yep, just coming in, you can grab two things. But if you show us that you follow us on Instagram, maybe you get another one, right? And so you do these different things, and they have other things that might be raffled off based on the completion of other things that you do to earn more free RPG stuff. But if you go to freerpgday.com, you're going to find all the publishers, and you can also click on them and find out all the offerings that they have. There's so much cool stuff. So go check that out. You're going to love it. It's great. Anyways, on that day is also going to be our store's grand reopening in the new location. And we're going to do a big painting event. I think I'm going to have a speed paint competition. So everybody will get the same miniature, have access to all the same paints and brushes and everything, and they'll get an hour and a half to paint their miniature. And then at the end, we'll have some judges judge, and someone will win a prize. So we've got that. We got all sorts of fun stuff going on.
Great
yeah.
event.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So besides Free RPG Day, we're also doing a national qualifier for Song of Ice and Fire, which is another game by the same company that makes Marvel United, CMON Games, based in the Game of Thrones universe, right? And then one of the local radio stations is coming out to promote and do a remote event at the store as well. And I feel like there's something else I'm missing that we're doing that day, but it's going to be a lot going on. And
June 23rd,
22nd.
22nd. All right.
Yeah, that Saturday. Yeah,
Very good.
it's gonna be a lot of fun for sure.
Grand opening.
The grand reopening of the new location.
Lovely.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. Faux show. So if
I
you're
love
if you're in Michigan, Indiana, or Ohio, Illinois, maybe even Pennsylvania, Canada, come on over. But on that note, I think our show is done for the day, and we are. Yeah, it's look at what the time we got.
How did that happen?
It always comes up so fast.
It's three season episode 13. Da-da-da, and it's wonderful.
Yeah. Absolutely. Again, thank you, Will. Thank you, Mark, for all that you got going on. Let's see where you got with your miniatures. I'm going to show my Hulk as well here.
Put it correctly. I'm gonna go back to some black after this, so
Yeah.
kind of a reverse highlight deal.
Yes, and some Red Skull there. Yeah, Red Skull's such a cool character. All right, got some Iron Man. I got to really work on Iron Man to finish him up. He's basically just based, but he needs more love. Black Widow. But yeah, lots of stuff and lots of fun. And thank you all for joining us here at Path of the Brush. And until next time, I'm Rick, Mark and
And
Will,
I'm Mark.
I will.
and we'll see you at a